I was about 13. I'd had experiences before, some were very intense, but this was the worst of them all. The house was terrifying, the air felt heavy, and everything seemed darker than it should be. A lot of weird things happened, such as my mom hearing my voice apparently screaming at my cat when I was at school, which I would never have done, she was an angel, the silverware clashing around, the drawer opening and slamming, things like money, always something we would need shortly, disappearing and showing up in strange places, or not at all. I noticed some red droplets on the floor next to the side of the bed I slept on, like bright artery red. Never figured out what it was, and I couldn't get it out of the carpet. Once I was home alone, and I saw with my own eyes a smoky white figure appear in the kitchen, just materializing out of nowhere. I sat there stunned and watched, but when it started moving, I ran, and I stayed out in the driveway until someone came home. But what really changed everything for me was one night I fell asleep on my back, a very vulnerable position for those who don't know. I always slept with the TV on or even the light on. I did not want to be caught alone in the dark. Pirates of the Caribbean 3 was playing, the music box in the intro before you press play. Usually it was calming. When I opened my eyes, there was a young woman hovering above me. She was very still, like she was standing, no expression on her face. She had pale white skin like porcelain, and she wore a sky blue dress with white lacing. It looked old, very old. She had black hair a little longer than mine. I was sleep deprived at that point from being terrorized every night. My brain wasn't working correctly. I didn't even really register her. I just turned over on my side and fell back asleep. The dream I had was horrifying. I was in the pitch black and I felt something made of pure malice, hate, and frankly evil in the room with me. I sat up and I started leaping toward my door. I didn't even get close. Suddenly I opened my eyes and I was back in bed, in the dark. It kept going. I felt like I was fighting for my life to get to the door. Each time I would get closer. At some point I opened my eyes and she was standing next to my bed. I got a good look at her then. She didn't have the top half of her head. It wasn't gory like you're probably imagining. From the nose up, it just faded into nothing. It simply wasn't there. Then she smiled at me. I can't describe what it was like, but that smile was the worst thing I've ever seen. Everything appeared normal on her face. Perhaps the smile was a bit stretched, but it was normal. It made my blood turn to ice because I could see the evil in it and I was at her mercy. Somehow she forced me back into the dream. Eventually I got to the point where I touched the doorknob. When I finally woke up, it was early morning, maybe 6 a.m. The music box theme on the movie was still playing. The TV was still on. I was tortured that entire night. I ran out of my room, so I knew it was real. I was free. I was alive. Later, I described her incorrectly to my mom's boyfriend, who's sensitive to the paranormal. I said she didn't have eyes, and he said he saw something similar. But it wasn't like she had black holes where her eyes should be. He said he saw a girl that he thought was me sitting at the end of their bed one night, but her head faded away, rubbed his eyes, and she was gone. I was shocked. Someone else saw her, and they were telling the truth. The last experience was before I got really sick. A couple of days later, I was in the hospital with my second pulmonary embolism. I have a genetic mutation that causes my blood to clot. I truly think I narrowly escaped something unimaginable. My mom, her boyfriend, and I were sitting at the dining room table. I felt her presence materialize in another part of the house. That's never happened before or since. The chandelier above the table started swinging, not back and forth in a circle. We all stood up. I felt her coming closer. She had showed up in their bathroom and she was coming through their room into the dining room. I had 2 cats at the time. They lost it. Fur raised, hissing, spitting. They took off into the bedroom. I felt her on the move. She came through the dining room, but I couldn't see anything. Nobody actually saw her, but I felt her. The cats chased her through the house, into the living room, then into the hallway to my room, then into my room. Once she entered my room, I felt that heavy presence disappear. The chandelier lost momentum. My cats let their guard down and came back into the dining room, acting like nothing happened. I'll never forget it, ever. I have an intense phobia of the paranormal now, and I really think that I could have, I don't know, been taken by her. I have no idea what she was trying to do. A few days after this, I was hospitalized for 3 months. We lost the rental and I never returned. Edit, I just wanted to add that we tried cleansing the house. We brought a priest in, he blessed the place, and immediately you could tell something was different. The light coming in from the skylight was brighter, and it was suddenly easier to breathe. However, a few days later, after a short while of peace, we were in the living room and we heard knocking. 3 very loud, slow, powerful knocks. My mom's boyfriend went to the door, opened it, and there was nobody there. The house returned to being how it was afterward, and the activity restarted. It seemed to intensify.